Conversation. And yesterday in the papers we did see this worrying and disturbing story, a child who was punished, actually caned, and unfortunately lost his life. Now 3 years after it was banned, corporal punishment is still used in Ugandan schools. Now government abolished corporal punishment in schools and colleges in 2016 following a report by an NGO in 2011 that revealed that 81% of sampled students said that they had been beaten by their teachers.
The most recent case is actually that of a student who died after he was allegedly beaten by a teacher in Mbale district early this week for not doing homework. Another case was reported at a nursing school in western Uganda early this year. Now our discussion this morning is focused on why corporal punishment is persistent and whether it is the best way to discipline a child. We're joined by Mr. Ben Chirere from the Uganda National Teachers Union. Welcome to the Morning at NTV.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You're also, but you're here in your individual capacity as a teacher.
That's correct.
Yes. Okay, let's have this conversation. I mean, corporal punishment was abolished, and you're still having, this story's top headlines of children losing their lives thanks to teachers who still continue with the same actions. What's your view on this? Is it that you failed with the implementation of the same?
Thank you so much. In fact, first of all, I'm here and speaking in my own individual capacity, of course, as a teacher who has been in the field for many years. I've also worked at policy level, and that's why you are mentioning the National Teachers Union. First of all, in my individual capacity as a person, corporal punishment is in fact not allowed by government policy. There are very many circulars that have been given to districts, schools, to abolish corporal punishments. But of course, it has been persistent. Like you have heard the cases you have shown that somebody was beaten, in fact, to death point. Ishaka, I think Adventist college, nurses, I think. There were some social media clips passing around. Nurses were being whipped right and left. But I think the reason why some of these things have persistent, first of all, at implementation level. Whereas government has given circulars to abolish corporal punishments, the effectiveness of how the alternative that have been provided to teachers. Some of these corporal punishments seem to be centered around caning. Caning is a very fast and very effective, method of disciplining. It doesn't waste time, you don't send away children from class, and it is very fast. You can just cane very fast and you're done.
Yes.
And when you are caning, first of all, it serves the interest, the ego of the one punishing.
The teacher.
The teacher, because at some level you feel you are hurt, and so something should be done. So the first thing you think about is getting a cane and inflict some kind of pain very fast, so that you get satisfied and say, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Compared to, why did you do this? Go out fast, come tomorrow, bring your parents, do that. It will take long. And because of this, teachers have tended to do this, but it sometimes overstoops and goes beyond the limit. And the biggest challenge is when you are punishing for the sake of disciplining, maybe you are displacing an undesirable behavior. So you inflict pain so that you displace an undesirable behavior. But the problem is how much of the pain you need to displace some given and undesirable behavior is where the problem is. If you came late, how much of the pain do I give you so that you don't come late tomorrow? If you have stolen a pen, what kind of punishment compared to the other lighter offense, so that there is a difference in how much pain you administer, so that this person is not do it again.
Right.
But then, Mr. Ben, as you talk about it, it seems like the quickest option, as you have mentioned.
Yes.
When it goes back to the training of teachers, in the schools that they go to for training, do they ever talk about punishment and how you should punish a child in case of maybe late coming, theft, failing to do their homework?
Of course, their professional ethics, the code of ethics is to protect the client from the profession. So the teacher has codes of ethics that helps him to protect these young people who are dearly innocent. Because when you're a teacher, you assume you are more knowledgeable, you are in a better position, you of course older and so on. So there are codes of ethics that help you to protect these young people. And so the code of ethics is very clear about how to deal with discipline. of learners. So it is taught in professional development at college level to help you how to discipline and deal with these young people.
So
any examples?
Exactly, examples?
So the examples of dealing with young people, of course, there is a lot of mentoring. You need to do a lot of mentoring, so that the fact that you are giving, you are inflicting pain is not enough to displace that behavior, like I mentioned. So mentoring is key to discipline. And sometimes the way we teacher tend to discipline these young people, sometimes, like I mentioned, that people tend to serve their ego, their interest first, even before they think of the likely outcome after the punishment has been given. And that's where the challenge is, that as long as you are serving your ego as a person, in the name of disciplining, then you are likely to go beyond. So and this is where accidents occur.
Yes.
And people tend to beat to death point.
So over and above mentorship, what other options do we have with regards to the code of ethics?
Yeah, we in terms of mentorship, and possibly to avoid caning, the alternatives other than the cane. You know, corporal punishment has always centered around caning, but of course there are other punishment that can be classified as corporal punishments. Like you find somebody is giving a learner or a child 3 stones and is told to hold them like this for a number of minutes. That is ideally another type of corporal punishment. But what we emphasize, if you cannot give punishments that really help the learner to appreciate that he's really wrong and needs to correct his behavior that is undesirable, then caning is not the best option. One of the options we recommend is we can tell this learner, first of all, to give even an apology himself to the class and say, I'm sorry, I will not do it again, please forgive me. That kind of, some other children are a little bit shy. That kind of letting a child stand in front of other learners and say, I'm sorry, I will not do it again, it can of course cause some kind of embarrassment to some level, and because of that fear, may not do it again. So there's alternative that have been provided by Ministry of Education, has provided a list of alternatives other than caning and those extreme corporal punishments. A list is provided that if you cannot make a child maybe provide an apology, maybe next time this child comes late the same way, you can these other things like letting a child maybe lose class is also very bad. Tell a child to be outside the class for maybe a week or hours when others are learning is not equally desirable. But even evolving, when the issue becomes persistent, you can even evolve the senior woman teacher for counseling, a senior woman teacher for counseling, and then you reach at the native level, so that if this child can maybe correct this undesirable behavior other than practically caning, although it is a quick method that teachers prefer.
Now, from the video that you're seeing on your screen, one thing you realize that it's not only caning of young children, but also adults at the Shaka Adventist school, where this came from earlier on this month. And one thing that also comes out is the fact that society's perception of corporal punishment. People believe as a parent you need to beat your child. Whether they are young, if they have done something wrong at my age, I should be beaten. Yes? So because whether the government comes in and steps in and says corporal punishment should not happen. Last year there was a video of a 4-year-old boy being beaten by his father in a school. And some people thought, oh, this is actually a teacher. But it was clarified that this was a father who asked to beat his child. So parents believe, if my child has failed, beat them. If my child is misbehaving, beat them. If my child does not do what is expected, beat them. So where does parenting come in and overstep on these rules that have been given by the Ministry of Education?
I think, first of all, before you are a teacher, of course, you are
a parent.
You are a parent, right, and a human being. And that's where the ego comes in. That some schools have gone ahead even to call parents at school to come and beat their children on the assembly. He calls the parent, then this child is beaten. I think it doesn't matter who has done it, whether it is a parent or it is a teacher, as long as you are inflicting that pain in terms of a punishment in that mode, is condemned. It doesn't matter whether a teacher or anybody. So the parenting aspect now comes in as what methods are you putting forward to discipline this undesirable behavior. That's where we draw a big line. Because if it is for the sake of who has done it, then it would be better for a parent to come and beat his child at school. But we are saying it is equally condemned because the fact remains that you have beaten. Because even a parent can cause an accident.
Right.
A teacher can cause an accident. So it doesn't matter who has done it. But the issue is corporal punishments, beating is not good. It's not accepted in schools, regardless of who has done it. So it is now the role of a parent and a teacher to always meet, deal with the undesirable behaviors in a school, provide circulars, of course provide the do's and the don'ts, and then they put mechanisms on how some of these undesirable behaviors can be eliminated in schools, other than relying on caning as a sole method of behavior displacement model.
What do you think are the gaps that exist with regards to the implementation of this particular abolishment of corporal punishment? What is making us lag behind? I mean, we have this policy, but yesterday, I mean, a child lost their lives.
Yeah, I think the gaps, first of all, are in the implementation level. With the policy is very clear. But when it comes to the implementation of some of these policies at school level becomes an issue. First of all, there is a detachment between the parents and the teacher. Parents have left their children in the hands of the teacher to do everything. To a level that even a parent will say, I will report you to the teacher and he will punish you, as if he lost it. And the only hope is now with the teacher. I will report you to teacher and teacher will beat you. So when a teacher misses this and of course has been empowered to some level by virtue, and then he begins doing it. And then when a parent comes, teacher, beat for me this boy, there is a problem with him. Help him beat him, as if for the parent lost it and the only liars is now what?
The teacher.
Is now a teacher. So a teacher is given all that power, the fact that the parent lost it, and they are to implement, and he is doing it. So I think if we bring the parent and the teacher on board, they have those parent-teacher discussions, and then they discuss behaviors of the learners, even before government intervenes to provide circulars and the rest. I think that can bridge a gap to some extent, to make sure that at least the teacher and the parent, they understand the person that is making them one is this learner. And so this is the intersection. They work together to make that this child does the best, other than relying on one, the side of the teacher, and then the teacher begins punishing and then don't get the best result. That's one. I think the second issue is at some extent, some teachers have lost the profession code of ethics. They are not at it. Some level, not all, of course some individuals. As a profession, it is very clear. You should not beat, don't do, the circulars are there. But like I mentioned, when a teacher serves his own ego as a person, you tell a child the same thing, he repeats it the same day, you repeat it, and then you lose it. Because you are, of course, a human being. And so you think of trying your best. If you are serving your ego, that is the worst.
Right.
And then sometimes when we are punishing, there is some kind of redistributive justice. If you broke somebody's mathematical set, sort of an eye for an eye, it's not revenge, it's not retaliation. But if a learner has broken somebody's item, something should be done in sort of appeasement of the other to feel comfortable that yes, teacher did something for me. So that kind of distributive kind of justice that we implement at school level as a teacher is the reason why sometimes we tend to punish. But when it overstrips to a level that even somebody dies, that is the worst. But I think disciplining, whether by caning or by some, as long as your intention is to discipline, it is acceptable. People should be disciplined. I wouldn't share an opinion that people should be left at large and nothing should be done for the sake of it because punishment is bad. I think
even the Bible says it's spare the road and spoil the child.
Yes, it's clear that we need to do something. We need to do something.
But what you do is what
yes, the extent. Like I mentioned, it is key that how much of the pain you need to displace given behavior, how much pain you give a thief compared to a pain you give to a litikama, compared to a pain you give to so and so.
Right.
That kind of difference is where you have overstripped and accidents have occurred sometimes.
That's true. So it turns out if you're going to punish your child, think of first of all what punishment you could give them, because corporal punishment is not the only answer. It could be the quickest solution, but it has effects. One being that we have seen people that lost his life because he failed to do homework and was actually caned for this. It has been morning at NTV. Kickstart a bit of it, and we were joined by Mr. Ben Chirere. He is a teacher. Thank you so much. From the teacher's perspective, we have gotten it, and we hope the parents out there have also picked something. Maybe you could put them in the naughty corner, they call it these days, and discipline them that way. We'll be getting back with Tech Note, where we'll be talking about children and how you can detect stress in them.